You're watching the Eternal Tournament Series.
And we are back for round 5 here of the Eternal Tournament Series, week 3. I am Sir Rhino, and of course, helping me to bring all of the best coverage we have available for this awesome event is LocoPojo. How you doing, Loco?
I'm doing good, and we've got yet another exciting matchup today. It's Felm versus Xenon, and we have like a pretty cool Xenon mid-rangey deck with a couple of killer effects splashed in there, as well as the sort of standard Felm Champion of Cunning, Delightful Times control.
Yeah, now this is Felm Scar. It's not, your traditional Felm control. There's that fire
There's a
splash
of red, yeah.
Torch and Quarry and Statuary Maiden. Those are really what you're gaining from adding fire. And some more crests. We have the full 12 crests here of Chaos, Cunning, and Fury. Lots of depleted power, but also powerful power. It'll let Muxosk really figure out what's their next draw steps are going to be, have a lot of fine control over that. The top end that they're opting for in this kind of control version of Felm Scar is Channel the Tempest. The Varas are in the side. So it's really, really cool deck here. You're blanking Annihilate, you're blanking Vanquish. The whole deck dodges both of those spells. So really cool list. We've seen styles of Felm-based decks do this in the past, like very old Felm Control or old Felm Scar from we're talking closed beta was in this style, and I'm really happy to see somebody revive it. So with that, we're going to give the players the go-ahead and see how this pans out. Linyvine, as you said, on a kind of classic Xenon mid-range style, potpourri of decent threats. Lots of 2 and 3 ofs in this. There's 3 of Dawnwalker, not something you see very often. 3 of Interrogator on the full 4 Amber Acolyte still in this 2-faction Obelisk deck, kind of going to the Alarmadillo style that took down week 1 of the ETS. And we'll see Linyvine open up on a turn 2 Temple Scribe, hit that Xenon banner, and have a good shot at curving out here against Muxosk, who has a good hand of their own with a Wisdom of the Elders to help him curve out and some nice threats and removal. This is a control deck. Every unit exists to be resilient and generate card advantage. See that with the draw there. Yeah. All right. So Loco ducked out for a bit. He's back now. Muxosk, in the meantime, missed on power after that Wisdom of the Elders, stuck on 3, deciding what to do with this Torch and Annihilate in the face of an Interrogator. If he lets it live, there's a chance that Linyvine then gets to Obelisk it up. So instead, using the Torch now and keeping up Annihilate. Yeah, both players are stuck on 3, which I probably favors Linyvine, but Quarry gets Muxosk a 4th power. Notably, it's another Primal Sigil. So Muxosk doesn't have double Shadow or Fire yet, just sitting on a quad Primal, single Shadow Influence, single Fire Influence. But luckily, his hand is pretty light on influence requirements. So Statuary Maiden will come out here, and Linyvine hit their 4th power as well. So Obelisk will let Ion match up well against the Maiden. That's awesome. Yeah, I think I would have swung with Ion there and offered the trade, honestly. Sabotages the draw from Muxosk here, can take out not the Annihilate, as Muxosk has no Annihilate targets in their deck. So it's just a debate of whether or not to take the Dark Return or Xenon Initiation. Notably, Linyvine had an Auric Interrogator in their Void, so they opted to take out that one and then turn the Auric Interrogator in play into a Cudgel. Yeah, a pair of friendly Wisp in hand. We may see those come out. At least with the Obelisk in play, they're out of Black Sky Harbinger range. And well, Muxosk is not playing Lightning Storm in the main deck. All 4 copies are in the side. But Yeah, so Linyvine opted to go with the Rheinarch anyways, though, try and get pressure, but that'll just line up well against Muxosk's Sot removal. That Yeah, notably, Linyvine is on the style of Xena that we talked about that Alarmadillo is on, which means no Banish in the main deck, no Varus choice in the main deck. This Maiden is a really huge problem to deal with. They have 2 Death Strikes, and if you don't have that, it's basically giving a Blister Sting Wasp killer. He has the killer effect, but that means giving his opponent more cudgels on this turn. You may want to wait on that a little longer. Who knows? But again, right now. Linyvine's got to get around this Maiden, right? That's the plan, and you're going to do that by really going with Friendly Wisp beatdown with this obelisk. So yeah, use this Dawnwalker. You're 2 for 1ing yourself. It feels kind of bad, but you need to get the skies cleared for these Friendly Wisps. The problem is once Muxosk finds even a little more power, we'll be able to play Harbinger plus Cudgel or this other Champion of Cunning plus Cudgel. And now Linyvine's not even going to be able to get through in the skies. Yeah, so it's really a question for Muxosk here of what to get down. Do you want to play the Harbinger here? Do you want to get Bloodcaster plus things? And yeah, we see double Bloodcaster is the weapon of choice for Muxosk. Leaving the skies cleared at 14 health, though, means this power from Linyvine is going to push through 6 damage from these Friendly Wisps. Now, Harbinger gains 8 health here, even if, it may not block everything remarkably well. It's still big enough to block 2 of the Friendly Wisp until they find another obelisk, but a Predatory Carnosaur off the top is huge for Muxosk here. Yeah, and Muxosk's feeling the pain for being a little slow to deploy that second Champion of Cunning or Harbinger. As now, man, that was a really, really timely Predatory Carnosaur, that's for sure. And yeah, now he's just dead. Activating Bloodcaster, they're not sure what you're really digging for as opposed to, but the board was just so wide, there wasn't really a solution to the problem. And yeah, yeah. All right, looks like we have some issues again, but we're getting those fixed up. Anyways, we're gonna go to sideboarding now. Linyvine taking that game. It looked like it could be a problem with that Maiden, but the Flyers flew, and Muxosk simply didn't have the sticky. You think the Champion of Cunning and Black Sky Harbingers would survive with no great removal from Linyvine to deal with them, but had just enough to get through. That double Bloodcaster play really being the story of that match.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid setup and just a lot of aggression from that scene in Obelisk, really helping out against the film deck.
So it looks like players are looking at the boards. Muxosk is considering bringing in some lightning storms here. Extract as well, maybe coming in and switching to the Vara plan rather than the Channel the Tempest plan to be the idea here. Try and outgrind the grinder.
Solid plan indeed, and with any luck, it should be enough to push through.
Yeah, on Linyvine's side, I imagine Vera's Choice are coming in at the very least. The Annihilates coming out, but by the Annihilates coming out, your Vera's theoretically get better, but again, Vera's Choice pretty good against her. Force Sabotage can also come in for Linyvine here. Maybe they'll make room for that as well.
Yeah, we see a reasonable amount of options. The Varus choices are good for getting rid of Champion of Cunning, which is a pretty devastating card if you can throw it out. It's also just really, really good against the Statuary Maidens, which are a card that you need to answer eventually.
So it looks like players are sitting at mulligans there, debating on whether or not to keep. Linyvine's hand is not looking great. I don't know if they already shipped this hand yet. Yeah, this is what they got on the redraw. They redrew into a 2-power hand, no shadow sources. That's a tough spot to be. Linyvine's going to need some great help off the top, but Amber Monument's not what the doctor ordered. This Auric Interrogator is not coming out anytime soon. Neither is the Restless Removal, and Muxosk will have the freedom to just curve out here. This is one of the big issues with Xenon. That's why even though it's a 2-faction deck, could play something like Amber Acolyte, although I think maybe you'd rather have some Seek powers here, as your only dual faction sources are 4 Seats and 4 Xenon Banners. No Crest access or anything like that.
Yeah, it's pretty rough stuff, and at the moment, Xenon is just not seeing a lot of love here. We've got basically, he was able to build at least 3 power out from those time, but he needs a double shadow for all of his 3-drops, which is just not going to happen here.
Yep, Amber Acolyte, though, helps a little bit. That's the first shadow source down, and hey, if Amber Acolyte dies, you can Dark Return and unlock the rest of your hand, so not the worst spot to be in, but still, you're quite behind here, and now Muxosk has some cool choices. Interestingly enough, that query earlier got Champion of Cunning, which puts it into banish range, which is lurking in Linyvine's hand.
Yeah, that banishes a really, really solid card here. I think Linyvine is probably going to want to throw out the Vara's Choice as soon as possible just to set everything up and make sure that he can basically get a Champion of Cunning before he has to deal with the Aegis, which is a really, really nice thing.
Yeah, although we may see it take Vara instead. If you're Linyvine, you know your hand's going to be really slow to develop. And so, yeah, taking the Vara out means you don't have to worry about when she comes down, it bringing back that Champion of Cunning. Yes, Champion of Cunning is going to be an issue, but you have a Predatory Carnosaur in hand. It's in range of banish until Muxosk gets that extra Primal Influence, which they're waiting for. So I don't mind that Vara's Choice there.
Yep, that's an awkward torch from Muxosk, getting rid of the deadly unit, but just using up his extra power for the turn. Playing his Champion on 4, and it does have the Aegis. Lenny can now banish it twice, which is pretty delightful, but beyond that, I'm not sure if there's a lot going on for him.
Yeah, instead, going to go with that Amber Acolyte Dark Return play we talked about earlier. Unlock that double shadow. This gives Linyvine, if they draw that 6 power, they can either Carnosaur the Champion or double banish it. If they go for the Carnosaur line into an open Annihilate, though, they could have a real rough go of it.
Yep. Black Sky Harbinger here setting up a point of damage, but the 3-2 there just withstands it quite well. Rhino on the play, but now that's risky for me. I would say that like he's gonna need 6 power here. Muxosk is getting his shadow for Champion of Cunning, which means the Black Sky Harbinger is gonna be a 5/5 next turn.
Yeah, that Rhino draw an absolute dagger because they really wanted power and they got it. It just happened to have turned into a dinosaur at this point in the game, and Linyvine cracks in for 8 damage, or Muxosk cracks in for 8 damage. Linyvine finds that undepleted power and goes for the Carnosaur play into that open Annihilate power.
That's pretty devastating. We know that Muxosk has actually used a Seek power here, so there's not a lot of love going on. If he gets that shadow out, that's going to be game.
I mean, it's already looking grim for Linyvine. Muxosk has a handful of removal, Torch, and Feeding Time available, and Torch is going to go to the face and just remove Linyvine from the game.
Yep, that's it. That's the lethal, and out he goes.
Yep, so that will bring the match to a 1-1 tie. And we're going to get a game 3 on our hands here. Don't think we'll see too much get changed up from the sideboard. Both players had their plan. Varus Choice did hit the Vara. The problem was the rest of Linyvine's hand could not get deployed in time to really make it a closer match.
Yeah, we'll see what happens and if there's going to be anything more coming in on either player's sideboards. Certainly, they both have a pretty decent battle plan set up here, but it's really going to be dependent on whether or not they felt anything was lacking in strength that game.
I think the thing that was lacking from Linyvine was that mulligan, man. That double time source hand. Oof, that was a rough start. Almost pulled themselves out of it, but ultimately could not get there. Went for the big swing with Carnosaur, but of course the opponent had the Annihilate to answer.
Yeah, it was a remarkably unlucky hand. I mean, Linyvine is even running like 3 Temple Scribes, 4 Amber Acolytes. Picking up any of those cards on a 3-power time hand would have been just fine for helping him get to his shadow, but he didn't find anything that was going to help him, so just really ended up with all of his cards that cost double shadow and then a bunch of time.
Yeah. So here we go. Game 3 is underway. Muxosk opening on the Shadow Sigil into Sabotage, ripping the Dark Return out instead of the Varus favored. They're the control deck. They want to cut down on the number of shenanigans that their mid-range opponent can be.
Yeah, we have plenty of stuff. There's a Vara's Favor available to get some extra power out for Linyvine if he needs it, and he's actually going to throw that right away, just try and get all of his power as well set up as possible and make sure that he gets to 6 this time.
I'm a little surprised to see that there with the Shadow Sigil already being the draw for turn. You could have gone Blistersting Wasp, next turn go Monument, next turn go Sigil or whatever, and get your Sandstorm Titans going, but instead Linyvine maybe holding out hope that this Amber Money becomes a threat on its own and doesn't care too much about having Vara's Favor to pop an Aegis.
Yep, he just wants to play everything on curve, and having access to his 5th power here, he's pretty confident that he's going to be able to get it.
Yep, the old totally not active Champion of Cunning comes down. Just the 5/5 for 5, and a space is apparently what the doctor ordered out of Linyvine here, who jams some more power, and a dinosaur gets added to the.
Gotta love that World Bearer Behemoth. Not only is it getting you the extra power you need to start playing really, really aggressively, but it also means that you can set up some pretty good stuff with basically just thinning out your deck a little bit and making it a little bit easier to access some of those draws.
Yeah, a space again from Linyvine, bringing the pressure. World Bearer Behemoth trades with a Champion of Cunning and takes Muxosk down to 11, and will add another Titan to the board.
Yep, with that 5/6, he's got just a really impressive amount of push here. Muxosk recognized the push and played out his champions defensively, but he's not accessing enough removal to really slow the opponent down. And unless he gets some Annihilates in that draw, that's not really going to help him that much.
Yeah, Muxosk opts to go with the undepleted power there rather than the crest. This allows him to hold up both Torch and Caleb's Choice, so Caleb's Choice could answer an Obelisk or some other removal spell. Linyvine doesn't have that here, though, but still
He's just
has
got threats. Yeah. Just threats and threats for days. Auric Interrogator and Rhino both looking pretty solid, and with the attacks, we're going to see exactly what all happens.
Yeah, Torch and Choice have kind of nothing to do here, but now with Interrogator out, at least Torch can pick off the Minotaur. But Muxosk is sitting at 5, and he's staring down Linyvine's 2 threats with 5 strength. It's not a great spot to be. Comes out, that activates the Aegis on Champion of Cunning.
Yeah, he's not dead this turn. He gets to actually block. Probably kills the Reinhardt since it's got the Overwhelm, and then Sandstorm Titan's still sitting on a pretty 5, but if Muxosk draws the removal, then suddenly they're in top deck mode, and he can actually stabilize.
Yeah, we see the crest come out. That gets put on top, and just hopes that Linyvine doesn't hit a space, but Linyvine sees the way, gets in there, and takes the match.
It's a tough path to lethal, Rhino. Tough path.
The hardest road. All right, so Linyvine overcomes that unfortunate game 2 that rallies to that match win, and it's standing pretty nice on in this tournament. I believe that puts them to 5-0. I think that was a 4-0 matchup. So that also means Muxosk is sitting in a nice spot as well. This cool take on Felnscar where you're dodging both Vanquish and Annihilate's been doing great so far in this tournament, just could not quite overcome the pile of threats that Linyvine was presenting.
Yeah, it's a rough time, but overall, just a really impressive amount of just aggression there off of the Obelisk and the Sandstorm Titans. Linyvine's deck was able to overcome with just sheer mid-range meat stuffs.
Yeah, it's a really cool approach with this Xenon deck where it's like, all right, I can't possibly have all the right answers, so I'm going to just play basically none of them and just present all of the questions instead and just be like, all right, I can't kill your maiden. I'm going to play a bunch of flyers and obelisk and beat you in the skies. Oh, I can't answer your champion of cunning. That's fine. I'm going to play a bunch of 5/6s, 6/6s, and 6/7s. And you're going to have all the answers for this pressure that I'm bringing in. It may not be the most elegant solution, but there's nothing wrong with some brute force beatdown.
Yep, just expressing strength without really caring about your weaknesses. It's a pretty solid way to play the game.
Yeah, no need to answer your opponent's threats if your threats are just better anyways. So it looks like we're swinging and missing with some of these backup matches. Still hard at work, but still waiting on some word for that. Yeah.
Well, if you were to ask me what I was playing today, Rhino, the answer would be Mono Blue Mind Link.
Mono Primal Mind Link, huh? So is that you combining that with everybody's favorite new toy to pair with Mind Link, Regression?
Yep, it's been a pretty delightful time. Also got some Jotun Feast colors out there. Played around in between matches where I ended up basically just getting 2 Feast colors down, and I went up against a Solitude deck, which was just delightful to see.
Yeah, I haven't played with Solitude yet. I don't find milling out my opponents like that much more interesting than just burning them out. Like it's kind of the same thing where you're just counting to a number.
It's a thing that some players love, but it isn't terribly strongly expressed in Eternal just yet.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. I think mill is fine being off in the corner that some people can play with, but I don't want to see it. Plus, I like to play Reanimator a lot, so whenever Mill does show up, it just makes my decks even better, right? Yeah, Mono Primal is an odd thing where there's never really been a great payoff for it. Like the Mono Primal card of the cycle was just a really weak flyer. But there's a lot of triple primal cards that can be kind of tricky to cast. There's Geralt, Ice Heart, and now we have Feast Caller and Pearlescent Drake, and even something like Hatchery Hunter. So it's always been in the back of my mind thinking like, can you just make like this super consistent mono primal deck now that you have access to all this great mono primal card draw? Or were you playing Furflinger, by the way?
I was playing Furflinger. Turning things into squirrels seemed hilarious. It didn't seem like it was a terribly valuable card, but just a 3/3 for 3 is not awful. And we were playing Tundra Explorer as well, so had a reasonable amount of early defense, essentially using Scaly Ruins to stabilize the early board, which I think is underplayed in Mono Blue.
Sounds
if you're playing
terribly fun, right?
Yep.
Okay, it looks like we don't have any backup matches lined up. This tournament's just flying through pretty quick. So instead, we're going to bring you guys another pre-made deck tech video. I think the last one was pretty well received, and we've got another fun one lined up here. So we're going to take a quick break and be back with round 6 after this short little...
See you in a moment.